it's only dynamism, moving forward, moving forward, moving forward. When they think about rest, they don't think about recuperating. They don't think you're trying to live a righteous life. That is an achievement. Just because you did not make $1 million yesterday does not mean that you waking up in the morning is not an achievement in itself. Hello, wonderful people. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Fatima Shitsu. I am here to educate and entertain. But first of all, Ramadan Mubarak. And you know how it goes on in this channel. Welcome, konnichiwa, namaste, merhaba, ekabo, sonu, bienvenue, bienvenuta, annyeonghaseyo. Guys, hi. What are we discussing today on my channel? Today, as the title says, we're going to be discussing making it at the age of 20 something. We're going to be discussing about the pressures of making so and so amount of money, living a certain social class, being on a certain economic level, psychological level by the age of 20 something, and the pressures that comes with that. So it seems like you people enjoyed the way I split the friendship video into different parts, and you were feeling the angles in it. So this video, I'm going to split it into 4 different parts. We're going to talk about the psychological aspects of the subject matter, social part, economic part, and emotional part, in that order. So let's get into the video. I feel like I have to put on this glasses thing because to look like a professor, because it's quite like I did some research, anyway, I don't actually need this. I find that in your 20s there's a lot of pressure to have made it in life, to continue accelerating. Obviously after when we're done with the education system, you're done with primary, you move on to secondary, you're done with secondary, you move on to university. That idea of always moving on in life has just been part of who we are. That's just part of our structure, right? So when we're done with university, things begin to get a little bit stagnant, because obviously sometimes some of us don't even have the privilege to get a job immediately, and because of that we succumb to the pressures, and that could lead to things such as depression, anxiety, OCD, and many more. But correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I think a lot of African and Asian households put too much pressure on their children to have made certain amount of money by a certain age, to have a house, to be married, to have this, that, and that, because that is how it is. And with the age of social media, there's even more pressure on us as individuals, because sometimes we see other people that have made it by this age and are married and are making so much money, like millions of dollars, right? And that's cool, that's good for them. It's okay if they want to flaunt it, that's their own whatever. But sometimes some of us internalize this and we start questioning if we are working or realizing our potentials enough, if we are doing everything we can towards achieving our goals, and we begin to hate where we are at the moment in life. So we begin to question if we're actually going to be successful, and we begin to put ourselves down for not have made so and so amount of money, or have reached so and so class in society. Now, I did some research about why some of us think about this, and I really looked into the psychological part here. And what I find is a lot of the people that have this mindset that they have to keep moving in life, they have to be accelerating all the time, they tend to experience a childhood in which they were forced to bear responsibilities too early, too soon, in the sense that they were probably not paid that much attention, they were probably neglected, or they were always, like, their parents always imposed onto them certain doctrines that were quite strict and necessitated that they have to take care of the household. So this becomes that they internalize this, and this becomes their self-understanding, and there's some sort of role reversal. The child becomes the caregiver and the parent becomes the child. So you find a situation whereby if a child doesn't want to do house chores, the parents punish them or discipline them, and they're like, well, you have to do it, you can't just be staying at home doing nothing, all that kind of stuff. And because of that, the child internalizes it, and it's like, okay, well, I always have to do these responsibilities, I always have to take care of other people, and I always have to keep moving in life. So they find themselves having a relationship with themselves that is not quite healthy, and they don't know how to rest. Stagnation is not a word in their vocabulary. It's only dynamism, moving forward, moving forward, moving forward. When they think about rest, they don't think about recuperating. They don't think about, trying to make yourself better. They think about rest as weakness. They associate rest with weakness. They associate rest with failure. And because of that, when you get to the age of 21 and you're out of university, they expect things to fall into place for them really quickly because they know they've been working hard and they continue to work out. So when things don't work out the way they want it to work out, it really affects them mentally, and there's a whole allure of all these different things that goes on with their heads. I know I'm definitely one of those people that stagnation is not in my vocabulary and it's only dynamism. As I'm talking to you right now, I'm also listening to my advice, because I find that majority of the time when things are not going as quickly as I wanted to, sometimes it does affect me. It's ingrained in my psyche to keep moving forward always, always to keep moving forward, to keep improving in everything. But then I find that sometimes you don't always have to be moving in order to improve. You resting could also mean you're working on yourself mentally. It could also mean that you're trying to self-reflect. You're trying to understand who you are at core. I'm just going to highlight the consequences of you bringing up a child in an environment in which you continue to give them tasks that they shouldn't be doing at that age, because they internalize these responsibilities, and it gets to a point whereby when they find things too difficult, they don't know how to ask for help. In fact, asking for help is associated with weakness and failure. And they find themselves in a position whereby things begin to suffocate them. But because they've never understood the language of, at this time in your life, because of how much you've grown, you can't actually handle all these things by yourself. They don't understand that, because when they were 5 years old, you were telling them to do things that a 15-year-old would be doing. Why? Another thing is they end up being workaholics, because they were always given assignments at home too early, too soon. When they get older, they don't know anything else but work. Vacation is like, no. I like working, but I like to go to the beach, sunbed and everything. And then one of the last consequences from having a childhood in which you were never really given the opportunity to express yourself if you didn't want to do a task is that you grow up to be very protective about your emotions. You grow up to be like, oh, I can't be vulnerable. People can't know that I don't want to do this, because that's not what strong children do. That's not what strong kids do. That's not what mature kids do. And as they get more super protective about their emotions, it's really difficult for them to let other people in. It's really difficult for them to trust people, and it's sad. So that's the psychological aspect. I'm going to put some links below to some of the papers that I read about the subject matter. They're very interesting. You guys should definitely read it, because obviously I've boiled it down to this. So let's move on to the next part, which is this category. We're going to be discussing how society influences our mindset to have this notion of, oh, I have to make so and so by the age of 20. First thing I'm going to discuss is when we are kids here, sometimes our parents or adults in our lives say things like, oh, you're very mature for your age, oh, you're doing really well, you're very wise for your age and everything. And it's like, okay, as a child, what you do is like, oh, people think I'm behaving like an adult, or I'm really good, positive traits, everything like that. You internalize this, and all you want to do is continue to please this adult. You continue to want to be mature. You continue to want to act like an adult, to the point whereby you want them to include them in adult conversations. You want them to see you as an adult, so you want them to assign you adultish tasks and all that kind of things. So it leads to accelerated growth. It leads to a point whereby you internalize this mindset, and you're beginning to understand life from the lens of an adult and not the lens of a child, because you no longer want to wear bright colors anymore. You no longer want to play with water guns. You want to continue this facade of, I am an adult at the age of 12. As a 12-year-old, people begin to regard you as they would a 16-year-old. So when you even make mistakes, people are like, wait, what? This is so unusual. Why are you doing this? I thought you were mature. They make comments like that. So anyway, a 12-year-old begins to reason like a 16-year-old, and a 16-year-old begins to reason like a 25-year-old. So when they get to 20, when they get to 25, and they find out, oh, things are not going as smoothly as they want them to, things are not going as quickly as they want it to go, they're like, wait, what am I doing wrong? And all that kind of things. So because you tell kids that they're mature, and they internalize this and they start acting too mature for their age, when they're actually 20, they're in this mindset of they're 40. So when they're not achieving things that a 40-year-old would at the age of 20, they're like, what am I doing wrong? Does that make sense, guys? Okay, and I just want to highlight one of the key differences when it comes to how society influences the subject matter. Guys, by the age of 20 something, are expected to have earned so and so. So the financial pressure on them is really, really, really severe. Girls, by the age of 20 something are expected to be married and have children. So the society pressures on them is really, really, really severe. That messes up everybody's psyche. You're having men that are trying anything at the moment to become rich. Things are just illegal and very questionable ethics wise. And then you also have girls that are willing to date anybody and anyone because they just want to get married. So their standards are quite low, and they're willing to accept anything as bad as, like, they're willing to accept things as bad as domestic abuse. They are willing to negate their own mental state in order to just get that validation from society that, yes, I got married by the age of 25 and I have children. Why do we continue to, impose these wrong doctrines on ourselves that makes us so unhappy? I find that too many a time we fixate on monetary accomplishment. We tend to highlight when we've done good in life, when we see returns in the form of currency, particularly money. And it's like, that's not always the only accomplishment or achievement that we should fixate on. Let me tell you, I'm going to list some of the things we tend to forget. Number one, sometimes in life, some of us, we say the right thing to the right person at the right time, and we change their whole outlook of life. We change their entire life in a positive manner, and they begin to continue to follow that path. They continue to follow the advice that you give. That is an accomplishment. You doing that is an achievement. So well done. Kuishe, Patewo Ferrari, clap for yourself. Another thing that we tend to forget is some of us, when we wake up in the morning, we don't want to kill ourselves. We are mentally stable enough to continue our day, to give thanks to God, the universe, whatever you believe in, and to just continue being who we want to be and continue working towards our goals and aspirations. That is an achievement. I cannot overstate the privilege it comes with for you to look at yourself in the mirror and be happy with who you are. For you to say to yourself, I'm content with where I am at this point in my life, and I would continue to work towards being better. I will continue to improve myself. That is another achievement or an accomplishment that sometimes we fail to recognize. And then another main thing that we always fail to recognize is people that are self-reflective, self-righteous, and they hold themselves accountable to their own actions. They say to themselves, like, I did this, I did so and so on this day, I messed up, and I'm gonna try and control myself next time. I'm gonna try to work on my reactions to other people's actions. I'm going to try and reflect on my thoughts and opinions about other people. I want to be a positive person. Other people do not know how to do that. Other people do not know that they have to self-reflect. Other people do not have empathy. Other people only think about themselves constantly. But you're not. You are doing what you're meant to do as a good, decent human being. You're self-reflecting, you're holding yourself accountable, and you're trying to live a righteous life. That that is an achievement. Just because you did not make $1 million yesterday does not mean that you waking up in the morning is not an achievement in itself. So in conclusion, I just want to say that when you expose children to responsibilities too early, too soon, I know there's a synonyms, but I like to say it like that, it leads to accelerated growth. You end up with children that you snatched away their innocence. They didn't get to experience life on a wavelength whereby nothing clouded their mental state. They were just happy. They didn't get to experience the whole concept of ignorance is bliss. If you are a parent or a prospective parent, if you are in a position of authority over young people, if you are someone that young people come to for advice, please do not make statements such as you're very mature for your age. Please do not assign them tasks that are too difficult for someone their age to do. Please do not perpetuate this notion that girls are more mature than boys. Please treat a child the way a child should be treated. They are blank canvases. Let them be the ones to decide what color they want to put on their canvas. Do not accelerate their growth because they become too independent too soon, to the point whereby codependency is seen as a failure or weakness. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you've learned something. I hope if before you watch this video you were putting a lot of pressure on yourself on achieving certain things at so and so age, I hope that you are no longer doing this and you learned something from the video. There are 2 pieces on my blog that encapsulate this video very well. One of them is titled "You Are Mature for Your Age" in quotes equals accelerated growth, and the other is titled "Is Ambition a Fancy Term for Greed?" And like I always do, kansamita, merci, danka, shukran, eshe, thank you, grazie, gratias, and thank you for liking, for subscribing. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. I find a lot of people are watching this video but are not subscribing. Please help your girl out. Bye.